I'm here with Bill DeMars from Beauty of Sound, and Bill's going to talk a little bit about the Ikeda Tonearm, the history of the company, and some of the design parameters that went into this very interesting and, I have to admit, beautiful Tonearm. Hi Bill, how are you today?
Hey Peter, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. So Ikeda, that's a company that's been around for a number of years.
Mr. Ikeda, or Osamu Ikeda, started Fidelity Research back in 1964.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, you know, there were some legendary products that he made under the Fidelity Research umbrella, including the FR1 and the FR24 Tonearm. The FR1 was a moving coil cartridge. That was introduced in 1967.
Mm-hmm.
And
wow.
Then throughout the years of Fidelity Research came up with the FR66, FR64. And the FR64 and 66S has achieved legendary cult status and cult following.
Yeah, a lot of people collect the 64. That's a very that is, I think, the most famous of all of them, if I'm not mistaken. Am I right?
Yep, the FR64 is one of his more famous designs.
Mm-hmm.
And then he was the first to come up with the cantileverless cartridge. You know, he came up with that predates Deca. You know, Mr. Ikeda came up with the first cartridge that did not utilize a cantilever. That gave a more immediate sound, less chance for phase distortion, and just a more live sound. Although setting up a cartridge without a cantilever requires a little bit more care.
Yeah, the current versions that they have out now that the company produces are indeed cantilever designs, and I'm going to focus right now on the 9TT. That's a beautiful looking cartridge. I would imagine that the sonic characteristics of past cartridges are incorporated in some of the current work. Is that right or is that wrong?
Oh no, it's absolutely correct. I mean, going back to a little bit of the history, just sidetrack a little bit. Mr. Ikeda, the CD came into play in the mid '80s or so, and Fidelity Research went under. But that didn't deter Mr. Ikeda. He came up with his own company called Ikeda Sound Labs in 1985,
mm-hmm.
and had a whole series of the 9 series cartridges that employed the empty core technology. And then I said he also implemented the cartridge without a cantilever. But recently they've come up with cartridges that are a little bit easier to set up, and the first one is the 9TT that utilizes a cantilever, but takes a lot of the sonic benefits of the old cantileverless cartridges and puts them in an easier cartridge to set up. Mm-hmm. Just a little bit less fussy, less fussy with the azimuth, less fussy with ultimate setup, and condition of the record as well.
Mm-hmm.
And the 9TT is they're modern cartridge, but it does have a lot of the same characteristics and employs a lot of the same technologies that went into the 9 series of cartridges that did not use a cantilever.
Yeah, I'm going to set it down into the groove right now, and I have to say that the Tonearm, along with being, I believe, the most beautiful Tonearm that's currently in production, also has a high degree of stability and confidence. When you pick it up, and I'll show you here real quick before we put it in the groove, it has a little locking mechanism. You flip over. I like that feature. And then you lift it up and you cue it over, but the bearings feel nice and tight, and it feels as if it's all of one piece. And then we'll just simply, the cueing has a little round spherical knob at the end of the shaft, and it's nice touch point to it, and then down it goes. You'll see it lowers itself into the groove slowly because it's fluid damped.
Yeah, I like the way it's damped. It drops right down on the record very slowly.
Yeah.
And with security. Yeah, the bearings are made of almost zero clearance in those bearings that are actually made of stainless steel. And you know, the advantages of this new Tonearm, the Ikeda 407 versus the FR64, FR66, is that with the Fidelity Research arms, there were bearings only on one side of the shaft, and now there are bearings on both sides of the shaft, and that increases the the overall stability of the Tonearm.
Now, looking at the Tonearm, you'll see the counterweight has got a semi or a half spherical shape to it. Is that part of the design parameter? It surely looks beautiful. It's yeah.
You'll see that there really are no hard edges on that arm, and everything is rounded. And the idea behind that is to lessen the chances for resonances.
Oh, okay.
In that Tonearm. So being rounded just provides a quieter and less of a chance to hear any unwanted resonances in the arm itself.
Now, the arm comes in two lengths. We have the longer version here. This is the IT407. Tell us the advantages and disadvantages to longer Tonearms.
Well, the longer the Tonearm, the less tracking distortion, the less potential tracking distortion that you're going to get. The numbers are, very subtle when you see them on paper. You've got essentially for a 9-inch Tonearm, the possibility for about 0.65% distortion on the outermost grooves and 0.8% distortion on the innermost grooves, compared to a 12-inch Tonearm that's got 0.46% distortion and 0.5% distortion on the innermost grooves. Doesn't sound like a lot, but when you're talking about, playing a record, with 0.2 millivolts and everything matters, I think that's fairly substantial. And, that's a good percentage, 15 to 20% less distortion with a 12-inch Tonearm.
Well, I'll say this, that on the inner grooves, I'm getting no tracking distortion on any of the LPs I played, no matter how the grooves are packed and no matter where the lead-out groove begins. When you set it down and listen at the tails, it's just as clear and crisp as in the beginning of the LP. And that's a nice thing, because not all Tonearms today offer that up. Well, Bill, I want to thank you for taking the time to talk and meet with us today via the Skype. And I wish you all the best with bringing great products like this into the United States. And please pass along to the team over in Japan how much we appreciate their work.
Thank you very much, Peter.